feeling you? No. That nigga a munch. Nigga eat it, he ate it for lunch. Bitch, on my body, I get what I want. Like, you thought I was feeling you? That nigga a munch. Nigga eat it, he ate it for lunch. Bitch, on my body, I get what I want.
Ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, welcome. We have why Superman is the perfect superhero. Me personally, I don't think Superman is perfect. I feel like Superman is like, I don't know, because it's hard to relate to somebody who doesn't really have like struggles, you know? Like, obviously, I know he struggles, Man of Steel. All that other shit, blah blah. Wait a minute, blah blah blah, etc. 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 But I don't know. Someone like Spider-Man. Honestly, I feel like when you think of like the working person, someone was like, oh yeah, this is like, the perfect hero to like never give up, never back down, all that shit. You think of someone like Spider-Man. Lost both his mother and his father, worked his ass off in school, was top of his class, lost his uncle, lives with in some iterations he lives with his Aunt May. Some iterations he doesn't. Then some iterations MJ's just a bitch, right? You got to deal with that shit. You got to deal with trying to be an adult while being a superhero, and you're not charging niggas to do this shit, so you're doing all this shit for free. Could never be me. I'm charging you guys a hefty. Maybe I should have this in my thing. Can I stomach sit through? Fuck it. I need to know. I need to know. Ignore all that shit. All right, sorry.
Hey, buddy, eyes up here.
There's something strange about Superman's stories, don't you think? A paradox, a contradiction, if you will. He's the world's most recognized, beloved, and iconic hero by far. And yet people say he's hard to write.
But I don't think he's that interesting.
I don't like Superman that much.
I hate this motherfucker.
Why? He's too powerful, too perfect, not relatable.
He's always powerful.
Superman is objectively a
These
boring
are
character.
understandable.
One of the most boring
thingies.
superheroes that has ever been created.
That's the line they say, right?
No one can hurt him. No one can kill him.
You can't hurt him, so where's the tension? There's no vulnerability in an invincible hero.
But I think he's dumb and boring, so...
Because I've never found him to be interesting.
But that, frankly, is bullshit. But put Superman in the hands of a good writer and watch him soar.
The great thing about Superman is even when you can juggle stars, mostly.
I feel like it's an understandable thing to say that you don't find Superman particularly interesting because of the fact that he's like overpowered, and his number one weakness is a glowing piece of rock that realistically no one should have access to, or as much access to as they do. Meanwhile, Luthor, hell, not even Luthor, Batman got like enough what's that shit called? Kryptonite to fucking bury this nigga alive if he wanted to. Just slow, like in Captain America 4, just slow doses of it and shit like that slowly kill Superman, and Batman won't, and then he would still have a shit ton more. I feel like it's the same thing with Batman. It's hard to like relate to someone like Batman. Because like, first of all, I'm not no multi-billionaire. Yes, Batman, he lost his mom, he lost his dad, boo hoo hoo. But it's like you're a rich billionaire playboy philanthropist who dresses up as a bat and beats the shit out of niggas, which should sound cool, but you're rich. So like there's no, obviously he could be hurt and stuff like that, but it's also like that no kill rule is just because Spider-Man has a no kill rule as well, but then again Spider-Man, like I said, Spider-Man could be seen as like the average person. You know what I'm saying? He still wakes up, has to go to work, still has to deal with all regular human shit. He has to decide when to give up something. Like Superman could Boom, boom. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's whatever to him. Batman, it's whatever because of the fact that he has the perfect image as Bruce Wayne. Spider-Man is a nobody. Right? Peter Parker is a fucking nobody, like the average person. A nobody. A nobody until you become a somebody, but people don't know that you're that somebody because they see you as a nobody. Because, and we've seen it with the Civil War thing. When Peter does show, like, hey, look at me, I'm Spider-Man, everybody hates you. You know what I'm saying? The world now knows you, and they can go to your options, your pimp, and all that shit. So you have to keep to yourself. And they just like, you could relate to that to whatever degree, but it's like I said, he has to get up. Like in Insomniac Spider-Man 1, he gets slid an eviction notice, and he's like, do I want to go to work so I can so I can keep my fucking apartment? Or do I want to go and stop Wilson Fisk from, like, destroying the city or whatever the case? And he decides to go and stop them, risking getting kicked out of his apartment. Which then later on we see in the game his like some tech of his gets thrown in the trash because they cleared out his apartment. Right? And then you have MJ who's just being an annoying bitch. And then you have and then in Spider-Man 2, no, then on top of that, so it's like, then on top of that, he takes Miles under his wing. So now, not only do you have to deal with your own personal life, your life as Spider-Man as well, you have to also train Miles so that he too can be a Spider-Man, you know what I'm saying, of New York City. So when you go away, he takes over and then all that stuff. And then in Spider-Man 2, we see this nigga Peter finally gets a job and he gets fired. Why? Because both him and Miles want to go and stop Sandman. Miles is a student, so that's whatever. Peter needs this job so he can pay off that $400,000 thing that Aunt May left him when he got the house, right? And he got no job. And Mary Jane's a reporter that makes little to no money. Hell, it might as well just be no money. And when she goes all symbiote and shit, she even talks about that, right? About how he's broke, unemployed, he don't got no job, he don't got no ambition, he got no passion, no like, all that crazy shit. But he still finds a way to push through. You know what I'm saying? When they inevitably drop Spider-Man 3, whether Spider-Man will be a part of it, or maybe they won't drop a Spider-Man 3, maybe it'll be another Miles Morales game, or it'll be Miles and Silk, which will then lead into a Spider-Man 3. And it's like Peter's gonna have to come back, and he's probably gonna have to, like, still have to take the reins and train Silk. Of course, Miles will have done his own training and all that stuff. And it's just like it's so much going on in Peter's life that you just like you want him to win all the time. With Superman, it's whatever. If you win, you win. Whoop de whoop. When Batman wins, okay, cool, whatever. You got hurt a little bit. Whoop de whoop. But when Spider-Man wins, it feels like a win for you. You know what I mean?
Wayne can undermine them with one.
That's
cool
my
word.
thoughts.
And that was what was powerful about it for me, was the fact that's why we made him even more powerful than ever, because everybody kept saying you can't write a Superman story because if he can do anything, then what conflicts are there? And I thought, well, emotional conflicts, the biggest ones, the things we all understand.
When writers say
emotion.
Superman is too hard to write for, or fans say he's boring because he's indestructible, they're missing the point. You can't hurt his body? Well, fine. Hurt what matters to him instead. Can't outmatch him in strength? Well, outsmart him. Being indestructible isn't a weakness of the character, it's a challenge for the writer, and when it's done right, really right, it produces some of the most compelling stories ever told. That's what Grant Morrison understood in All-Star Superman. It's why he wanted him to be more powerful than ever. He didn't try to bring Superman down to our level, he lifted us up to his.
But the actual stories are all still about guilt and loss and fear and love and everything we understand, but on an epic scale. So if Superman walks the dog, he walks it past Saturn.
Morrison wrote a Superman who feels love, fear, hope, and responsibility. He gave him dilemmas and managed to humanize the man of tomorrow, saving a suicidal girl with words, comforting a dying enemy, choosing compassion again and again, even when it hurts. He wrote Superman not as a god looking down on us, but as a man showing us how to be better. He had personality and stood for something. And that's the same instinct James Gunn seems to be following. Not just the iconography, though yes, All-Star's inspiration is showing. It looks like the Trunks have made a comeback, as well as Crypto and the Superman sentries, but we've also seen a comeback in terms of the soul of the character. A Superman who smiles, who fumbles, who helps, who inspires. A hero who, as Morrison puts it, puts the man in Superman. A Superman with personality.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
I still feel like he's cool. He's cool. Nothing crazy to write home about, like you said. You have, like, if you can't beat him, beat him. You can't beat him physically, beat him mentally. Can't beat him mentally, beat him emotionally. That's cool and all, but I don't relate to you though. It's like I said, like, okay, you lost, like an Injustice. He loses Lois. First, you lose your wife, lose your unborn child because Joker tricked you into killing them. That's sad, very sad, honestly. Um, I'm sure there's people in the world, and heart goes out to them who have been the unfortunate cause of their partner losing their child, or there's a child who was born, but the mother died while in the process, so the father has like pent up anger and all that stuff. It's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It happened to Peter. Peter lost his mother, his father, his uncle, sometimes his aunt. He was the unintentional death of Gwen Stacy. Sometimes he blames himself for why, depending on which version it is. He blames himself for like a lot of different things. Why Harry is the way he is, and etc. etc. So it's like, I don't know, man. That seems more of a realistic path to me. But
they can be a great people, Kal-El. They wish to be.
That felt good.
I control everything in this town, Superman.
They only lack the light to show the way.
I know there's good in you. You will never control me, Luthor. I love you, Lois Lane.
For this reason above all, their capacity for book.
Until the end of time.
I'm still finna watch this movie, so I know this movie's gonna be fucking amazing.
When I say Superman is perfect, I don't mean flawless. I mean ideal. Not because he never makes mistakes, but because he tries every day to do the right thing. He doesn't show us what we are, he shows us what we could be. He's not a power fantasy, he's a moral fantasy, and that's an important distinction.
No.
I have the power to do as I please.
And the responsibility to do what is right. As leader, you serve the people. They don't serve you.
He's strong, sure, but gentle. Righteous, but humble. As much as his aspirational head is in the clouds, his feet is firmly planted on the ground. He follows a set of values, truth, justice, in the American way, as I'm sure you've heard many times before, but also kindness, optimism, hope.
I'm very optimistic.
These traits are often confused for weakness. To the cynic, these are naive traits, a quick way to get walked over. Soft people shit, right? The cynic views optimistic, hopeful people as naive.
Man. Why would they
not naive?
But you see, they're not weaknesses, they're strengths, and here's why.
Well, because naive does imply that you're missing something.
Anyone can be cynical, anyone can be jaded, but it takes courage to be kind in a world that rewards cruelty.
They saw the ugliness of violence as a solution, and it frightened them.
Superman knows that he misses something about people. He wants to miss the bad stuff. He wants to see the good stuff.
It frightened me too when I decided to cross that line and do what you do. It's so easy. Anger. Vengeance.
It's easy to be cynical. It makes you feel good, like you have some kind of wisdom that others just can't see. But Superman chooses the harder path every single time.
Why spend time thinking about all those terrible things when we did good things today and we could focus on those things?
Let me be very clear. It's not that Superman doesn't see evil. He sees it alright. But he still chooses to believe in people regardless. The greatest win pessimistic and negative people have ever had is convincing the world that simply being a good man is outdated.
Well, he's always just doing the good thing.
Is because he's, in a way, generic.
Oh, my superhero wouldn't do that. I'm like, you're living in a fucking dream world.
Good. Dreams save us. Dreams lift us up and transform us into something better.
But Superman rises above society's cynicism. He was raised right. Take the very iconic line from the Reeves Superman movie when Lois asks, "Who are you?" and he replies with a smile,
A friend.
He could have said anything. He could have declared himself a god, a protector, a force of nature, but he chooses the most humble human word possible, a friend. Or consider one of the greatest Superman moments ever put to TV, his showdown with Darkseid in Justice League Unlimited.
I feel like I live in a world made of cardboard, always taking constant care not to break something, to break someone. Never allowing myself to lose control, even for a moment, or someone could die.
Even in his rage, Superman shows restraint, power tempered by mercy. That's not boring, that's discipline, that's character.
Luckily, I'm not you, and I never will be.
And then I think it comes down to a basic philosophical.
I don't know if I said never, Superman. Never say never. As what's his name said? Justin Bieber said.
Difference. He believes that the sanctity of life is of the utmost important, no matter what. You do not let anyone die, ever.
You see, this is why it makes stories like Injustice or Man of Steel so divisive. When Superman kills, when he snaps, when he gives in to grief and becomes a tyrant, it might feel dramatic, but it also feels like a shortcut, a betrayal of the character, because the point of Superman isn't that he can't feel rage or despair, it's that he does and still chooses to be better, to wear a smile for a world that needs it, to be a metaphorical duck and let the negativity wash off his back, not a sponge and absorbing the world's cruelty. In a culture drowning in irony, Superman embodies sincerity. He's not outdated, he's not irrelevant, he's not boring, he's rare. He doesn't dominate us, he serves. He works a 9-to-5 job, pays rent, checks in on his parents, and when disaster strikes, he's always there. Not for praise, not for power or glory, but because it's right. You say he's not relatable, I say he's the most relatable of them all. Not because he fails like us, but because he succeeds where we hope we could.
You don't have to figure out whether you're a good person or not yet, and maybe nobody ever knows whether they're a good person.
Yeah.
The important thing is to do good things.
If it had mattered to you, Luthor, you could have saved the world years ago.
In snow-covered tracks, he paves the way so others can walk in his footsteps.
They can be a great people, Kal-El, they wish to be. They only lack the light to show the way.
Because of this, it makes him an outlier. He stands out, he chooses the hard road, the unpaved road.
For this reason above all, I have sent them you.
Restraint over wrath, compassion over control. And that's what real morality looks like. Not being incapable of evil, but in choosing not to be evil even when you could abuse your power.
What does it mean to be a good person?
Yeah.
Do good things.
That virtue is found in the control of power.
How does a good man live? What is virtue?
So, let me be real with you guys for a moment. I want to ask you something. Be honest. No BS. I want you to look into your heart and answer honestly. Do you believe you are a moral person? Most of us would say yes as a knee-jerk reaction, right? We would get defensive, we'd be like, yeah, I'm a good person. Most of us think that if we had Superman's powers, we'd do good. Sure, that might be true, but...
I know if I had powers, I'd be a menace. I'd be fucking annoying.
Maybe that's only true for a while, until you have an off day, until someone hurts someone you love, until you get angry, until you start drawing new lines in the sand, rationalizing that what you did was necessary.
When does a man's obligation to those around him exceed his obligation to himself?
Here's some food for thought. Maybe a good man is not someone who says they're incapable of evil. Maybe a good man, a great man, is someone who is capable of evil, of harm, but understands restraint. Maybe the beauty of Superman is an example of true masculinity, aggression well handled. In the end, Superman is not just a hero, he's a challenge for humanity. A question. He asks us, how good can we be? But the real brilliance of Superman, what truly makes him great, isn't just his power,
he actually went bald.
It's his warmth, his quiet presence, the way he talks to the crowd with the same respect that he gives a president, the way he listens, not just hears, the way he saves people, not just for applause, but because they need saving. Time and time again, Superman just shows us this unbelievable goodness, the kind that just disarms you, the kind that makes cynics scoff.
We all fall short of his sickening, inhuman perfection.
This goodness is what drives people like Lex Luthor mad. Lex can't accept that someone so powerful would be so selfless. It breaks his worldview, it offends his ego.
Next to Superman, even Lex Luthor's greatness is overshadowed.
To Lex, Superman must be hiding something, because if someone like Superman can exist, truly, humbly, and wholly good, then what excuse does that leave Lex? In a way, Lex Luthor represents the part of us, part of humanity, that's too bitter to believe in kindness, too jaded to accept hope without a catch. But Superman doesn't need anything from us. He helps because it's right. What I want to land today, what I want you to take away from this video is this. Be the Superman example. Don't let cynicism, your fears, your ego take flight. Instead, offer a calm confidence, a warmth, and a gratitude for those who show you their best. Now, hopefully we've been able to hit the nail on the head here. Maybe that's why so many writers struggle with Superman, because you can't write Superman if you don't believe in the best of us. If you're too cynical yourself to imagine a man who has every reason to rule and still chooses to help. If you're too pessimistic to understand it.
But you're living in a fucking dream world.
Good. Dreams save us. Dreams lift us up and transform us into something better. And on my soul, I swear that until my dream of a world where dignity, honor, and justice are the reality we all share, I'll never stop fighting. Ever.
Superman isn't broken. He doesn't need to be reinvented. He doesn't need to be grittier or edgier to be more realistic. What he needs is to be written with sincerity, with heart. Because in a world constantly shifting, constantly rewriting the rules, Superman stands firm, a fixed point in a chaotic world. A reminder of what it means to be good. He's not just a man in a cape, he's an ideal, a symbol of what we should be striving for, an aspirational figure. And as a kid, I really did not get that. I gravitated towards Batman. He had more substance, more edges to grip onto. I thought Superman was lame, too square, too clean. But now, as I've gotten older, now I think he's the hardest kind of hero to be. Not because he's invincible, but because he holds up a mirror to our own goodness. So maybe Superman isn't the problem. Maybe we are. Maybe our cynicism is, our constant need to look for the negative. Maybe Superman is the answer, a guide, an example of what we can be. A super man.
Hey, I'm not gonna hold you. Brother man made a good point. Oh, my back. Brother man made a good point, man. Brother man made a good point. No, he made a good point. I'd be lying if I said he didn't, should I? Yeah, I'd be lying if I said he didn't make a good point. I'd be lying if I said he didn't have a good point.
領域展開無料空所